Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question. 27 years ago, when I was born, my biological parents decided to give me up to other parents to raise me.
All right.
And I was just wondering about the biological parents, if they are still living in the LA area.
In your terminology, this is sketchy for us. It is our immediate perception that one is and one isn't. However, it is our stronger perception that they simply acted as facilitators for something that your quote-unquote life parents did not find the timing to do, and simply brought you in when it was most convenient so that everyone would be together at the appropriate timing. This happens very often. In a sense, therefore, recognize that what you call your life parents have been your biological parents before, in other lives. It's simply that the timing didn't work out that way this time. So others that are very familiar to you, who did not necessarily need to maintain the existence of what you would call a child, facilitated as the gateway through which you could maintain and attain physicality, and then simply gave you over to the parents to some degree you had made an agreement to be with. Understand?
Mm-hmm. Is there a chance that we may meet, my biological parents and I meet in the future?
It is possible, but it is a stronger perception that this may not be likely until either much later on in your physical life or even after the physical life itself, when reassessments are made. Some of it depends upon the things you explore. There is always an opportunity to meet them in what you call your dream reality. That is what you call your free zone, where all the ideas, all the ramifications and manifestations that you wish to maintain as a specific idea in physical reality can be unlocked for a while. You can always meet them in what you call your dream reality. And the stronger perception you have of the idea that physical reality and dream reality are one idea, then you can accelerate the possibility of interacting with at least one of them in physiological terms. However, it is our immediate perception that this is not something which may happen in what you call your near future, and does not need to.
Great, thank you very much.
Well, will this suffice?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharing.
Hi, this is the first time I've been here.
Oh, it is the first time I am interacting with you too.
Yes. Very good. I'm curious about channeling.
Yes.
Do I channel? If so, could you?
All of you channel.
Okay.
Anytime you allow yourself to flow any complete creative expression through yourself with joy, without doubt, that's channeling. That is the expression of the fullness of your being. It does not have to be an association with what you colloquially call another entity in order for it to be channeling. You're all channeling. In a sense, you are actually channeling the personality that you are too. The person that you think yourself to be is actually channeled, because you can actually be any person, any persona you wish to be. It can change. Your persona is, in a sense, an artificial construct. So even the idea of maintaining a particular personage is actually a channeling. You could change it completely, sometimes even physically. Understand so far?
Yes.
So in that sense, you're channeling.
Okay.
Now, the question actually is, if the idea intrigues you, in what way would it excite you the most to allow your recognition of channeling to express itself?
Got it. Yes.
Well?
Tell me.
No. That's my question for you. Because it's up to you to decide what is the most exciting way you wish to express yourself. So you tell me. Because I will give you this. The way that you are more often than not attracted to is the indication of the way you can probably do it, as you say, best. So are you attracted to do it in any particular way?
I'm not sure. I'm confused. I guess.
Confused?
Yes.
All right, that's a good start.
Okay.
It's a good way to allow yourself to open up to more things, to create that state of confusion that unlocks you from your previous assumptions and allows you to broaden your definitions. That's what confusion is for, at least in my world. The idea, therefore, is to understand and recognize in your imagination what definitions do you have of the idea you call channeling, and which of those definitions attracts you the strongest?
I have a lot of family members that are deceased, so therefore I feel that sometimes when I talk about them or that kind of thing, then I speak, and it's as if they're telling me to tell
Yes,
someone else.
sometimes it is.
Yeah.
However,
Right.
once again, remember, it is not always the case that when an individual, in your terms, physically dies, that they have nothing better to do than hang around waiting for you to contact them. This, we have discovered, has become somewhat of a mythology on your planet.
Okay.
They have busy lives to live. They have new things to learn. They have to orient themselves to completely what is to them new reality.
Great.
They are very busy. However, many of them will choose to be, in your terms, guides, and there will always be at least some level, some aspect of the consciousness you knew them to be that will be able on some level to, quote unquote, hang around and respond to your interaction. So yes, that can be one way. If you feel that you can be of aid and assistance in the facilitation of information from individuals that have had physical lives on your planet, and that information may help individuals who still have physical lives on your planet, then that can be one way. Is that the way you are most strongly attracted to? Is that the way that excites you the most? Is there any other way you could express the idea or would want to express it?
The only other way I can see it is with animals. I work with animals.
Oh.
It's so there's no non-verbal
All
communication.
right.
as such.
But you can verbalize it for your own species.
Yeah.
Well, does that excite you to think of doing it that way?
It has in the past. But
Oh, what about now?
I'd like to change that.
All right, go right ahead. Into what?
I don't know.
Oh, you
I really
don't know? Where's your imagination?
It's been at rest for a while.
Oh, I see. Well, let's wake it up.
It's still with the animals. There's a whale.
Still with the animals.
There's a
All
whale
right.
that has, a netting completely around it in San Diego.
Yes.
Why can't that be helped? I mean, why?
Why not?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, then,
Should I go down there and help it?
is that where you want to be?
No, I don't think I'd be of use.
You don't think you'd be of use? Why not?
No.
Why not?
Because I physically couldn't do it.
Why not?
I'm not a good swimmer. Not that good of a swimmer that
Oh, all right. But would your proximity to that location perhaps attract someone who is? And who could help you?
Possibly.
Well, all right. You don't have to, as you say, sweat about the details. The details take care of themselves. As you act upon your strongest intention, act upon it, key word, act upon it, you will attract, if you need help, all the help you need, in whatever way you need it, automatically, because those are the details that fulfill your strongest intention. If you are holding back from making a move, taking a step that you really want to take, because you are saying, well, the details, they're not there, then you are not following your instinct. You are worrying about the details, rather than simply following your intuition and trusting that the details will take care of themselves, which they always do.
Right. Well,
It's up to you. Up to you. Completely, completely, completely. Up to you. But I can guarantee 100% that when you follow your strongest intention, you will always accomplish what you want. Understand?
Yes.
So if that does excite you, if it does motivate you, then by all means go. But it's up to you. If you feel you can be of great assistance where you are, then be so in whatever way you can be. But recognize when you are in fact denying your true feeling. That if you really are more motivated to go down there, even though you have no idea how you're going to help, if that's your strongest motivation, go. Because it is your strongest motivation for a reason. You don't have to immediately analytically know what those reasons are, what the details are that will round out the idea. But if you act upon it with conviction, you will find out. If you don't, you won't. And you'll wonder, I wonder what would have happened if I would have gone. I wonder, I wonder. Now, if something in your terms negative happens, don't blame yourself for not having gone. That's not going to help the whale. Understand?
Yes.
But if that is the area that excites you, the idea of communication with what you call animal consciousness, then act upon that idea in whatever way you are literally inspired to act. It is an inspiration. Follow it. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing your imagination to wake up.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Thank you. Sharing.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I wonder if you can elaborate on how the Mayan civilization was able to evolve into fourth density by changing their brain pattern.
Yes.
We want to
Now,
discuss
not all of them, but a great deal of them have done so. The idea simply is that some of it was, in your terms, done, as you say, physically, surgically. Some of it was done then later simply mentally. Most of it really simply has to do, first of all, with the belief and understanding, a true knowledge, that physical and non-physical reality are simply different expressions of the same one existence, and that there really isn't a big difference between the two until you make a big difference between the two. That was their first thing. Remember that they lived in a society, to begin with, that perpetuated the reality of dreams. Understand?
such as the Aborigines?
Yes. And therefore, if you know, and if you are brought up to know dreams are real, then you can concoct a dream and step into it. Literally. And it will be another vibratory dimension of experience. And you will then, in your terms, disappear from the other dream that you were dreaming before. Understand?
Yes.
So, one very strong method of assistance they left behind are the idea of the crystal skull that you may be aware of on your planet, for they contain in what you might call magnetic molecular structures holographically within the skull all the patterns of arrangement that are necessary in the neuronic pathways of the brain to create the same effect. They are left as keys, as markers in that sense. The easiest way to align yourself, to allow the skull to align your neurological pathways of electrical activity in the brain to match their brain activity, to be able to open the same doors, is to sit yourself in front of one of the skulls and look into its eye. If you find in this way that the eyes reflect to you ideas and images of things that you may have suppressed within yourself, belief systems that you may have bought into that now are allowed by the skull to bubble to the surface, if you find you cannot face them, and if you are fearful of them and cannot integrate them, you will not align, you will not open the door, and that is what you call the safety lock. If you can align, if you can allow yourself to clear with love and light, then all those doors will be able to be opened to you in that sense. All it takes is the alignment. The skull in that sense can be used to reflect that alignment to you. But individuals who cannot handle that idea will allow themselves far too much fear and will not be able to even face the skull for a very long period of time. Wow. Understand?
Yes.
So that is one way you can match their idea.
Did they create the skulls?
Yes. Although not all of them. Some of the older ones, in your terminology, date all the way back to what you would call Atlantean times. They did match some of them, but not all of them.
The Mitchell Hedges one?
One of the oldest.
So that's Atlantean rather than Mayan.
More so. And more many other things.
One final question. Can you tell me if the Mayan culture of flattening a newborn child's head to make it flat and pointy had something to do with this procedure?
It did not so much have to do with that specific procedure. It had more to do with a representation of a physiological symbol of what you would call simply higher intelligence. The idea, to some degree, of creating a certain pressure in a certain area. Now, this did not have to be done. This, to some degree, was done ritualistically a little bit from some ancient misunderstandings. Some of it was to create a certain degree of pressure in one area to relocate certain ideas or pathways neurologically to access other areas of the brain more than the ones that your species was used to accessing. Also, to some degree, some of this practice was for the purpose of mimicking beings they had actually encountered whose heads were shaped more like that and they considered to be of higher intelligence than yourselves. Understand?
Where were those beings from?
Not now.
Okay, I thought I'd try.
All right. I'll give you credit for that. Some of it did have to do with the setting up the beginnings of the procedure, however. But it was not the complete idea. It does not have to be done that way. Some of it also was stemmed from a negative reaction to things that happened in the destruction of Atlantis, in an attempt to suppress the thought centers that they held responsible for creating the mess to begin with. Understand?
Yes,
Does that answer your question sufficiently?
it does. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful time in your explorations and discoveries.
Thank you, Bashar.
Well, thank you. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Well, I'm hoping that you can help me.
One moment, one moment. Do speak up so that all may share.
Okay, I'm hoping that you can help me to understand why I keep creating a reality that I do not prefer.
Oh, I see. All right.
This is in the area of intimate relationships.
All right.
I'm from India, and I lived there most of my life. I was 16 when my parents arranged my marriage to
Yes.
someone who was physically and emotionally abusive.
No, all right.
So after several years, I left him.
Yes.
Then I got into another relationship where
Yes.
he was even more abusive.
All right.
Then I came here,
Yes.
and here.
Well, is
I
this
got-
really surprising?
No, but I mean, I don't like this.
Oh, all right. All right.
So,
You are
yeah.
changing. You are learning. It does not have to continue at all. But the idea, at least on the surface, that is relatively obvious, is that you are simply going off of old momentum, old reactionary energy, and because of a greater fear, you are continuing to attract similar ideas, mostly because of the fear, as a reaction to the idea that you might run into it again. Because you simply were brought up, as you say, ingrained with belief systems that make that seem to be more likely, or at least made it seem to be more likely, that you would attract that type of individual, simply because that is the impression that was created within your makeup when you were young.
But it's not in my conscious belief.
All right. But you can now get back in touch with the original definitions. It may, in your terms, take some time, but it does not really have to take very much time. The idea is for you to create a very powerful pictorial representation of who it is you would prefer to be, and to see yourself engaged in what you would call relationship with other individuals in what you would delineate as a positive modality. Can you, in your terms, conjure up such a picture?
Yes.
All right. Do you believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that the image you have in your imagination of yourself having that positive interaction is actually something you can do?
Yes.
Do you believe it is something you really deserve?
Yes.
All right. Now, do you believe it will take some effort in order to actually create that scenario?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right.
But the fact that it isn't there means...
One moment.
Okay.
One moment. First step, do not judge what is to be automatically negative just because it doesn't match your expectations. Because it isn't automatically negative, and many times, in fact, as we have observed on your civilization almost all the time, the only reason that in your terminology something would seem to continue in a negative state is because you have been taught that this means this, and this means this, and if you see this, that's negative. If you're getting this, that's negative, and there's no other way this can be. You are dealing with very fundamental core definitions now. The idea in and of itself that you do not have what you call a relationship, that is not inherently negative. It just is. It doesn't have a meaning. I understand that you have a desire, but just because for right now your life does not necessarily contain what you think ought to be a representation of that desire, doesn't mean that your life right now is negative. Understand?
Yes, I'm quite happy the way I am.
All right, all right.
But I just
But-
feel
but-
that what's,
but-
I mean, maybe there's something I should learn from this pattern of relationships.
Well, go ahead. That is also one of the first things you can ask yourself is, what am I getting out of the perpetuation of this idea? Now, do understand something else. You have had many strong, reflective past lives as we perceive your energy. One of the things you have chosen to do as we perceive your list of agreements is to serve, and this does not mean you have to suffer, but is to serve as a reflection of someone who is going to break a lot of sociological molds and patterns. And you're willing to serve as a reflection for individuals that may, in their terminology, be a little bit weaker, feel that they are a little bit less strong, and give in to their negative side and take it out on you. But the idea of your reaction, you standing up for what you believe is true for you in the face of what they present to you, can help them change as well. And to some degree, once again, not meaning you must suffer because of the agreement, but to some degree, we perceive you have made an agreement to be willing to be reflective to these individuals, to show them in no uncertain terms what their behavior will cause you to do, so that they will no longer have what they desire because of the way they act. So you have been willing to some degree to function as a reflective mother image, lover image, sister image in that way. Again, it does not mean you have to suffer. And in a sense, in all reality, you are progressing quite rapidly. You are taking very strong steps. You recognize, as you have said, your core happiness. All you need to do is recognize that you can be of service, you can fulfill the agreements you made, and at the same time, you can then attract into your life individuals that are representative of your definition of who you prefer to be. But create that strong definition. One of the things that may be creating what you experience to be a time lag is simply that you may not have created yet a very strong definition of who it is you actually want to be. You may have been saying, that's not who I want to be, that's not who I want to be, that's not who I want to be. But have you completely reversed it into, this is really who I am, who I want to be yet?
I think I have, maybe not 100%, maybe 95%.
95, all right. Then let me ask you another, shall we say, standard question. Are you doing in your life the thing that excites you the most as an individual?
Yes, I am.
And what is that?
I'm a graduate student in clinical psychology.
All right.
And
Psychology.
I'm
Interesting.
doing therapy, which is what I...
Therapy. Interesting. So you mean that you have chosen to assist individuals who are, in your terms, having difficulty being at peace with themselves?
Yes.
Well then, you are doing that to some degree with a few people you have interacted with in other lives as well. These individuals, both, the first one more than the second, more often, more strongly, have both been your children. Both. And to some degree, all you're doing is creating a process of weaning for them. This will not take long. This will not take long. We perceive there may be one more individual that will be representative in the same basic light, but will not be, in your terminology, quite as negative in their expression.
Yes, that's over. I mean,
All right.
the third one is over.
Oh, all right. Well, you are very rapid then, aren't you? Very quick. Very quick. You are moving very rapidly. Do not worry about it. In a sense, the timing of your ability to ask this question now, in a sense, means you are changed. You are changing. You are recognizing the reflection of yourself. In a sense, you have created your own therapy, in that sense, in this moment, right now. You are really right in the threshold. All you really need to do is recognize the connection, even if you are not completely analytically aware of the unconscious connections previously. Recognize that you have been of service, you have made agreements in this way to allow them to learn different things, and that now you, if you have already done the 1, 2, 3, have let your children go, and now they must let their mother go and be who she needs to be. It is your timing now. Now, one moment, one moment, one moment. Is there any particular area on your planet that you are considering moving to, other than where you are now?
No, I like it here.
All right, one moment. Very highly accelerative time for you, especially in what you call the upcoming March month. Let it proceed between now and what you call your May month. You are very strongly linked to certain cycles that are going on that we have recently spoken about. And you may find much change happening before what you would call your 5th month, which in a sense is also what you call your month of motherhood. It is where you will rediscover many of your powers by then, and in your terminology be clearly aligned with your course of action and see many more representations of that strong reflection of yourself given back to you by the individuals you will be encountering in life. You are doing just fine.
Thank you, Bashar.
But by your May month, in our perception right now, you will see far more physical manifestations of the fact that you are doing just fine.
Well, thank you.
Continue to be of service. Continue to be of light. Let the children go. Let them grow up on their own now. You have fulfilled your agreement to them in that way. As we perceive it, there were only 3.
That's nice to hear.
And again, hence the perfectness of the timing of this recognition on your own.
Thank you, Bashar. Can I ask
yes.
you another little related question?
Oh, all right.
I'm thinking of writing about my experiences in India. and
It
I
can
was-
help many individuals.
I was waiting until I stopped feeling a victim.
Well, thank you. Until you stopped creating it. But we
Yes.
understand what you mean.
And now
As we have said, you can be a social mold breaker. By all means, use whatever methodology is at your disposal that it excites you to use to communicate your experiences so that others can be benefited as well. They will be. You will reach many. You might even become quite controversial.
Well, I got divorced in India where nobody gets divorced, so I was...
All right, you're ahead on that aspect too.
So, but yes, I want to help people who are in situations like mine, but who find it hard to.
You are helping. Continue to be, to the fullest you can, who you are. That's all you need to do. You're doing just fine.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your conviction and your boldness, and for choosing to recognize how much strength you actually have by choosing such a high degree of limitation on your world to work your way through. You will be an inspiration, and are. Thank you.
Thank you.
You are very familiar with the energy, not just because of this particular life, of what you call the area of the Himalayas. Very familiar. Very familiar. Watch your dreams. Watch your dreams.
Yes, I love the Himalayas. That's for sure. That's the one thing people ask me what I miss about India, and I say I miss the Himalayas.
Yes. Watch your dreams. Pleasant dreams to you.
Thank you, Bashar. Thank you very much.
Shooting!